Welcome to part 2 of our Funk to Funky Victorian furniture flip. So when we last left you, we were picking away at these chairs and trying to piece some of the molds. I did do a second run on the molds, made a better trough for them, and poured new amazing casting resin. And that's what I got, and that did the trick. Lexi continued her hours of plucking nails and fibers from the chair, and I worked on piecing the molds, the castings together, and also worked on mudding the seams. So as I mentioned, this furniture had been in water so that the moldings that they had pieced together, the glue had disintegrated. So in many cases, it was in 3 parts. So I had to glue it and then also get rid of those seams as best as I could. It was finally time to lay some paint on this baby. I was so excited. So I started with the little roses. Didn't really have a concrete plan in mind, but had some direction in the way I wanted to go. I used one artist brush for this entire paint job, and I just kept dipping it into each color because I kind of wanted a little bit of a blend, but not too much. So the next thing I did was used Dixie Belle Cactus. The first color I used was Desert Rose on the roses, which was appropriate, and the cactus on the leaves. Now, at this point, the colors are really harmonious and really pretty. And as I continue on with the colors, you might think it looks a little garish or clownish. I'd preferred to think of it as kind of like vintage tattoo inspired, but I knew that eventually I was going to use some brown wax and tone it down. And right now I'm applying Midnight Green. The reason I chose the colors that I chose was my client that perhaps might be buying this furniture back lives in a Victorian home, and the house is kind of a creamy white, and then the shutters are kind of taupey. If you see in the background a little flame, that was our method for removing a lot of those little fibers, was just using a lighter and setting them on fire, and then using a mister and putting the fire out and then pulling them out. It just seemed to work a little bit better that way. So I just continue going over all those details with this Midnight Green and enjoy watching the chair get covered with paint. On to the details. The next color I used was Mojave, and that's again another silk color. I wanted to use silk paint because it has a built-in sealer and built-in primer. That way it should help, even though I'm using colors, that should help if there's any raw wood pieces that got sanded down to the raw wood. It has the primer in it, and also being on a covered porch, having the built-in sealer is also helpful. So again, I have sort of a roadmap in my mind of how I'm going with this, so I continue to paint along the outside edges. and on the feet. I'm missing a chunk there, but that's one of those things that I'm not going to get too concerned about. If anybody's sitting on the porch relaxing with a nice cold beverage in the summertime and they comment on that, then they're not really your friend. Next, I'm bringing in the color Fiery Sky. This is the first time I've used this color, and I'm not sure what I was waiting for because it is brilliant. That's where I started to feel that tattoo vibe, that vintage tattoo sort of feeling when I saw that color along with the Mojave. I didn't even realize that this was a ribbon detail along the side. Lexi had noticed that as she was plucking all the nails and fibers. Okay, here comes the part that I've been waiting for. So I put a second coat of the Mojave on, and originally I was thinking taupe for this. And now I'm putting some of the paint inlays in the chintz. And this part is so exciting to me because I was just envisioning that all along. And eventually you'll see this design carried throughout the piece. There's so much more to come with this, and originally I had hoped this would be the second and final part of this chair, but again, it's a lot of work, so this is part 2. So if you notice, I wet the paint and then I put the inlays on, and I wet them with Mr. Bottle to even them out, and then I've left them to dry. And now we're making some magic with some Van Dyke Brown in the Best Dang Wax. I knew that's exactly what this piece needed to tone down those bright colors, which might have seemed a little garish, and just marry them together. Now it kind of gives the tone of the wood through the magic of the wax. So now the fun begins. I get to reveal that chintz pattern. So you wet the paper again and then you slowly peel it up. Not gonna lie, couldn't wait, so I used the heat gun to speed up the process just a little bit. And also, I wasn't worried about complete coverage on this because I wanted a distressed look. So that will save me from coming back and doing some sanding on it. Also, using this pattern and color unites the areas where there might be missing chunks. Just kind of painted over that, and now they're not even noticeable. You know, I think this furniture, again, is from the 1800s. So for that being said, I think we can forgive a few little chunks that are missing here and there. It's now being covered by a whole lot of beauty. This is a very satisfying process to watch. So what do you think so far? I think we're headed in a good direction. I gave the client a sneak peek and she was pretty happy. And don't forget, the planking comes next. This is sort of the vibe we're going for. Come back next week. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this video, how about giving it a thumbs up and also share it with your friends? If you haven't subscribed, you'll want to do that so you don't miss anything. Visit us at LiVintageDecor.company, and on Instagram we're LiVintageDecor, and on Facebook we're LiVintageDecor Altoona. Stay well.